Hello there, people of the internet. So today we are out here with Old Sketchy. Do you guys remember Old Sketchy? Well, if you're new to the channel, then you probably don't remember Old Sketchy. Old Sketchy is an Oviedo Mauser that I've had on the channel before on numerous occasions. And, well, I call her Old Sketchy because she's an old Oviedo Mauser that's blown up on me a couple of times now. And, I mean, the stock is severely cracked, the action is very loose. Actually, that's a lot better in this than it was in the last thing. We'll talk about what I mean by that here in a second. It's held together with just like regular ass wood screws. Old Sketchy is exactly that. She's sketchy. I think the sketchiest thing is the fact that the stock is literally coming in half right here, and it's just kind of very crudely held together with some wood glue. But she does fire. I fired probably about, hell, 1,000 rounds or so through this rifle. Well, not this rifle. Let me go ahead and talk about what I mean here. All right, before we really get started, I want to go ahead and say thanks for watching, but the stuff that I'm doing here is not cheap. This right here is an expensive rifle, and this right here is not cheap ammunition. So I want to say thank you to what few Patreon supporters I have. If you would like to consider assisting me with the work that I do and helping me make future content, consider checking out both Utreon and Patreon, links in the description below. The idea of caliber conversions is not necessarily something that a lot of people are like blown out of the water with, like your AR platform. If you want to swap from 5.56, 223 to say like 300 blackout, you swap out the barrel. And there's a couple of calibers that where like if you want to swap out, or if you want to change calibers, you got to swap out the barrel and the bolts. It just... The idea of changing your firearm from one caliber to another is not exactly revolutionary. So I actually have a new barred receiver in Old Sketchy here. Old Sketchy was originally a converted 308 Mauser from 7mm Mauser. Give me a second, I'm being eaten by ants here. But Old Sketchy was an Oviedo Mauser Spanish. What the Spanish did was, whenever 7.62 NATO became mainstream, they wanted to kind of get on the ball with that, so they converted a lot of their old Mausers to 7.62 SETME, which was like a lower pressure version of 7.62 NATO. Damn, dude, get off of me. But the lower powered version of 7.62 NATO, they weren't sure if their Mausers could handle actual 7.62 NATO, but we now know from 100 years of testing with that, well, maybe not 100 years, but hyperbole, guys. But we now know from a lot of testing with those rifles that they can, in fact, handle 7.62 NATO ammunition. So I had one of those 7.62 NATO conversions, 7.62 SETME conversions, and I was like looking at it, and I was looking online, and I was like, you know, I bet if I got a barreled receiver from an Oviedo Mauser that was not converted, that bad boy would probably just plop right into Old Sketchy's setup. So I ordered myself a barreled receiver, and lo and behold, hey, Old Sketchy is officially back in its 7mm conversion. I see Kevin out there. I'll have to chase him off before I open fire. Those who don't know who Kevin is, he's my peacock. I got 4 of them. They're all named Kevin. Kevin, what are you doing down there? Damn it, I'm trying to film a video of me shooting guns over here, and you're not making it easy. But Old Sketchy has officially been reconverted back to its original 308, or not 308, its original 7mm configuration from 308/7.62 NATO. Ah, damn it. Okay, Kevin, you're really playing with fire here. Well, maybe not fire, but like lead. Give me a second, guys. Alright, so with this conversion here, literally the only thing I did was throw in a barreled receiver into this rifle. Whenever Spain did their conversions from 7mm to 7.62 SETME, the actual heads of the bolts were so close to, well, they were damn near identical, that the Spanish did not actually convert their bolts. They just kind of kept them in the 7mm configuration. So although this is technically, it is from a rifle that was chambered in 7.62 NATO. It was originally from a rifle in 7mm, so we still have the same original bolt from Old Sketchy that we were using. And it actually fits a lot better in this receiver than it did in the 7.62 NATO receiver. So literally all I did was get a barreled receiver and plop it into this bad boy. We got Old Sketchy's 308 magazine well, we got Old Sketchy's 308 trigger, Old Sketchy's 308 bolt, Old Sketchy's 308 stock. Literally all I did was barreled receiver, pop that bad boy in there. Now, there is one thing that I noticed is going to be a problem with this. The magazine well obviously is a different size than 7mm Mauser. I imagine I could get a 7mm Mauser magazine well here, and I could probably run 308 from that 7mm Mauser magazine well, but I cannot run 7mm Mauser from a 308 magazine well, because the 7mm Mauser is just slightly too long to be able to fit down that magazine well. I can get it started inside of the magazine, but essentially it's a single shot rifle, and I can't load it any deeper to be able to load more than one round. So luckily, since I can feed it from the magazine, I don't have to worry about any kind of extractor issues. And this right here did headspace properly. I mean, I ran it through all the tests, ran it through the gauges, it passed the safety checks. So we should be able to just aim down range and pull the trigger and see what we have going on here. I'm just gonna go ahead and aim at our steel target there, and let's see what happens. Well, she fired. I'm not sure if we hit our steel. The barreled receiver, I was worried about the, oh yeah, that looks absolutely fine. I was worried about the barrel itself because these Oviedo Mausers are notorious for being very pitted and very worn out. And this one is no exception. We have some serious pitting all over the barrel and receiver of this rifle. But luckily, oh luckily, the inside of the barrel was absolutely stuffed with Cosmoline. And dude, the rifling and the bore of this barrel looks absolutely phenomenal. I have no idea where these sights are set. It looks like we have a minimum of 400. I imagine it's meters, but we also have a battle sight here, and I'm using the battle sight, and I'm assuming it's zeroed out for 200 meters or so. Actually, what I should do, I'm gonna go spray paint our target real quick. Let me go ahead and pull this bad boy out here. I'm gonna go spray paint our target real quick so I can see where Old Sketchy, we're gonna call this configuration New Sketchy, where we can see where New Sketchy is shooting. Okay, so the plan is I'm just gonna aim at the bottom of our freshly painted target here, and we're gonna see where we hit in this thing. 308 magazine. This is definitely a sketchy rifle. Let's send it around. All right, well, I aimed at the bottom of the target, and it kind of looks like we hit the bottom of the target. Look at all this smoke and paint dust and whatnot coming out of that thing. Okay, let me go ahead, and it looks like we hit like 3 inches high or so. This might be zeroed out for 100 yards. I have no idea. I mean, this rifle is freaking over 100 years old at this point. I'm gonna aim center target, and let's see if we hit it. Well, yeah, we smacked center target. This thing's shooting right where I'm aiming. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Save my reloadable brass here. I don't have what I need to reload 7mm Mauser yet. Emphasis on the word yet. But my buddy was letting me borrow a 7mm Mauser not too terribly long ago, and I loved it. I absolutely adored it. And I told him, you know, hey, I want one, I'm gonna get one. And it just so happens I found this barreled receiver, and I was like, you know what I could do with that? So I did not spend a lot of money on the barreled receiver, and I just plopped it into this bad boy, and now I can lob 7mm Mauser ammunition downrange from a rifle that seems to hit freaking right where I'm aiming. That's phenomenal. I love that. Okay, folks, I appreciate your time. Thank you ever so much for watching. I would run more ammunition, but I've got like 4 rounds of 7mm Mauser left, so until I get more ammunition, I want to save those rounds for like 7mm Mauser testing. I want to test 7mm versus 8mm Mauser, really see what the differences are. And I want to do 7mm Mauser versus 30-40 Krag, because those went head to head against one another a long time ago. We're going to save that story for a different time though. So I'm gonna say, hey folks, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Description down below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check that out. I don't know what else to say here. If you want to tell me I'm an idiot for doing a conversion like this, then hey, by all means, I am all ears. But in all reality, this is a conversion back to its original state from a rifle that was a conversion. I'm not sure what I would call this. Unconversioning. that's the best I got. That's what I came up with. Okay, folks, I'm actually probably gonna go edit this video. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.